They are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get on out here, get your vehicles serviced need from Bill Penney Toyota. And we have got a lot to get through. It is Monday, so that means we need your good, the bad, the ugly from over the weekend. And a lot of that is going to be centered around this year's SEC championship game. And have to give credit where credit is due to our fourth grader prognosticator, Grady the Greek, who came on the show as he does each and every Wednesday. The fourth grader prognosticator picked Alabama. Now he had it at a closer game than what it turned out to be, but Grady the Greek stood and said Alabama will get the win over Georgia and said Bryce Young will be the MVP. He got Bryce Young, the MVP, right. He got the score right. We broke it down for everybody last week on how Alabama could get the win, what they had to do, X, Y, and Z to get the win. We thought Georgia was going to come out there just like pretty much everybody else except for a few, Drew. And this Alabama team came out, and I don't want to say they saved their best for last because they still have more ahead of them, but they saved their best performance for their last performance, which was Saturday.
Well, they saved their best performance for the best possible time, and the biggest game of the season, and they played their best game of the season, and they played their best game of complimentary football all year long. The offensive line was outstanding against the Georgia Steel Curtain that we were told is the greatest generational defense in the last decade. Well, so much for that. But I think, Bryce Young was tremendous. What we talked about and what I said Alabama had to do to win the game, I thought there was really 4 areas where they had to win it. And I thought they had to, of course, Bryce Young had to have a Heisman Trophy level performance, which he did. That is over. That race is over. If I think he'll win it in a landslide.
Those votes, by the way, are due by 4 p.m. today. The Heisman votes will be in by 4 p.m. today. They will announce the finalist later this evening.
Yes, they will. And I thought that the Alabama needed to win the turnover battle, perhaps even score on defense, and they did both of those. They got the 2 interceptions, and Jordan Battle took one back to the house, which basically sealed the game. And then because I felt like that the Alabama had to play their best game of the year up front, and they had to rush for 125 yards in the game. They didn't quite hit that, but they were right close to it. And they averaged nearly 5 yards per carry, or right at 5 yards per carry, against the greatest defense that football ever created.
Yeah, leading into this game, that's what was described. Yeah,
and so I just felt like, that if they could run the ball just well enough that Alabama could have just enough semblance of balance to win the game. And then I felt like they needed to make some big plays, some explosive plays, and they did that because Jamison Williams made 2 explosive touchdown catches. I'll be honest with you, you're talking about another race that should be over. He should win the Biletnikoff going away, and I'm talking about Jamison Williams. I mean, he has –
that goes to the best wide receiver in college football.
68 catches for him now on the year, 1,445 yards, 21 yards per catch, Scott, with 15 touchdowns. And what he did against Georgia, which hadn't been done really all year, the 2 long touchdowns, 184 yards receiving. I think it was the second most ever. Darvin Adams, if you remember when Auburn won it in 2010 over Missouri, I think he had over 200 yards receiving in that game, had an outstanding year that year for Auburn. But it was just a great performance by Jamison Williams, and you just see his impact. And now you see how big it would have potentially been against Auburn because he was not there for over half of that game. And now it's going to be even bigger because this would not be an Alabama football season this year without an injury. And they have another significant one to John Mechie.
Yeah, torn. They fear
yes.
It's a torn ACL out for the season.
Mm-hmm.
But we had, and Drew, this alluded to everything that we had going into the week because we were asking, okay, what areas is Georgia vulnerable at going into the SEC championship game? And the over-resounding thing was, look, Georgia's secondary had not been tested this season because going into the SEC championship game, Georgia's front seven was so dominant against, and we even alluded to it, that it was coming against teams like Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Missouri, teams that were not even they were average SEC teams at best, and that the Georgia secondary had not been tested like they were going to get tested against Alabama. And now going forward, you have to look, Drew, that this Georgia secondary is going to get tested again against Michigan, a quality opponent. The book is out now on how to beat Georgia. Alabama showed that if Georgia's pass rush does not get to its intention, their secondary is not a high-level caliber secondary.
Well, I mean, I would say it's good, but it's just one of those things where until you face the kind of opponent they have, and I think what I mean by that is I think what we figured out now, we talked about this during the week, is Georgia's schedule, because they had not. And what it turns out is the East is just, when we already talked about how bad it is.
Name a stellar quarterback in the East that they had to face going into that game, and you can't find one.
And everybody was trying to compare scores. Arkansas and Alabama, Arkansas and Georgia. You're trying to compare scores. Tennessee, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. You're trying to do all that, but the bottom line is that you can't really compare them, because Alabama had to go through the fire of the West. And there were some people saying, well, Auburn 6-6, LSU 6-6, all these teams are 500. But guess what? They're bowl eligible. Every team in that division is bowl eligible. There's some really bad teams in the East, and the East is just a lot weaker than the West. And the best way to put it is Kentucky. Kentucky lost to Mississippi State, who's a 7-5 team. Yeah,
and you look at they struggle against Auburn. But that is a rivalry game on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, a rivalry game, everybody knows, is you do not – I mean, you don't look at it and treat it the same way. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot different. When Georgia played Arkansas, first of all, Georgia was mad that thing was an 11 a.m. kick, and they felt like they were slighted and had something to prove in that matchup. Arkansas wasn't ready. The one thing we've learned about Arkansas is ascending – towards being a lot better, but they're not ready yet to take that leap. And when they placed Georgia at 11 a.m., 2 series that was over because Arkansas couldn't get out of their own way.
Yeah, it was early in the year, and Arkansas had not been on the road.
Yes.
You talked about road environments, how different they can be, and Arkansas just crumbled. I mean, now they got a lot better after that, and again. And Alabama, there's something to be said, too, for Alabama being the defending national champion. They get everybody's best shot. Georgia, as the season's gone on, everybody understands how good they are. And they got Alabama's best shot.
Right.
Because Alabama was told all week that you're going to get embarrassed if you don't play well. And I think they did that. And another underrated thing where Alabama won this game, Scott, is Alabama was good on third down. They were 7 of 14 in the game, and they held Georgia to 3 of 12. So that's a hidden area where Alabama was really good. And another hidden one, I'll say this. Jake Camarda is the best punter I've seen all year, Georgia's punter. I mean, he hit some bombs in that game. But I will say James Burnip for Alabama had his best game of the season, too, I thought, most consistent. He hit a 50-yarder, but he had 5 punts, and he averaged nearly 44 yards.
Right.
And he had come in and struggled a little bit. So Alabama, in all 3 phases, they played really good complementary football, and they didn't give Georgia outstanding field position in a short field to drive it. And then there's a couple of areas where if I wish I could have predicted the future, so I'd be coming in here rich today. But if you had told me that Alabama was going to give up no sacks, because Georgia averaged nearly 4 sacks a game,
right, after giving up 7 against Auburn.
Any quality opponent, Alabama had struggled in pass pro. You're thinking they're going to give up sacks, and then all of a sudden. Also, if you had told me that Alabama was going to outrush Georgia, which they did in the end. I mean, because we saw how much Alabama struggled to run the ball in the Iron Bowl.
Well, they really, and that was the thing. Could they make Stetson Bennett throw the ball? Could they make Georgia one-dimensional? Georgia liked to bruise. They like to run. And it's funny because just to tell you how quickly things change, how narrative can change in college football, going into it, Kirby Smart was being applauded for getting Georgia almost to that next step. This was the year for Georgia. He's got Georgia on the doorstep. They're going to bust through. They're going to get through Alabama. After the game, a lot of pundits, especially on the Georgia side, are calling the Georgia offense archaic. They're calling it out to date. They're saying Kirby Smart needs to change things. He's never going to get past Alabama unless he does things differently. It's funny how one game changes the narrative around in college football. All right, we need your good, the bad, the ugly from this weekend. Joey from Huntsville is with us this morning. Good morning, Joey.
What's up, brother? How's it going?
What's going on, Joey? How you doing, man?
Man, driving into work, running a little late this morning. What about y'all?
Man, we're right on time. 7 o'clock, bam, we're ready to go.
We're rolling.
I think the difference in the game was the 2 turnovers. I mean, it's not like Georgia wasn't moving the ball against Alabama. That one pick six hurt them, and then they got down inside the red zone right here, and he threw another pick. And I think that was the difference in the game. It wasn't like Alabama completely shut Georgia down. Georgia could move the ball. Georgia was just having some self-inflicted wounds on them. And you've seen this story time and time again in college football, where you think back LSU, Alabama. LSU beat them 9-0. Then Alabama came back at the end of the year and beat them. Auburn did the same thing as Georgia. Auburn destroyed Georgia back in 2017, then beat Alabama the next weekend. What happened in the SEC championship game? They got beat. Kirby made adjustments. I mean, it's just college football. Like I said, I thought this was the best year, that this was going to be the best shot that we had to beat them. And I think you couldn't find many Alabama fans that had a lot of confidence to think that they could beat Georgia, given the last couple of weeks how they played versus LSU versus Auburn. The difference in the game was the turnovers, and I think Alabama's offensive line showed up. Georgia didn't bring no blitz. They played a lot of man-to-man, and I think that's what got them. I think the difference between the games, where if you look back at the LSU game and the Auburn game, they got up all the guys on the line. He did not know where the blitzes were coming from. He couldn't pick them up, and they were just tattooing them over and over and over. He had a better feel for what was going on. I mean, Georgia they didn't start blitzing towards the end right here, and I didn't get that. And they were just bringing 3 and 4 linemen at a time, and I think you got to bring an extra guy. If you're going to get to Bryce Young, you got to bring somebody to, make him uncomfortable. And he wasn't uncomfortable the whole game. I mean, he was back there having, football, PlayStation-type numbers, in a football game, But, give it to Alabama. They did what they had to do to win the game.
Well, and I'll say this, Joey. I think, too, a couple differences between the two offenses is while I love Brock Bowers, he's a freak. I just didn't think Georgia had enough big plays in the game. They didn't make explosive plays. In the third quarter, when Alabama shut them out, Georgia moved the ball the entire quarter, but the two keys were, you already mentioned DeMarco Hellum's interception, and then at the very end of the quarter, Georgia turned it over on downs, and then it wouldn't be a game against Alabama if Kirby didn't do something head-scratching. In the fourth quarter, I was just shocked. When it's 4th and 10, he's about to go for it. You're down 2 scores. You completely understand that. With 7 minutes to go, you get a false start penalty, and then you punt. And then he let Alabama run a bunch of key minutes off the clock because, surprisingly, and I know, Joey, I wouldn't have thought it, you wouldn't have thought it, Alabama was able to run the ball a little bit and take some air out from out of the ball after they made the huge third down completion to Slade Bolden. So it was just a surprising game, no question about it. I do think that Kirby blitzed some, but just not a lot, not as much as I thought he might, to change things up. And they went with a lot of 3, 4, and 5-man pressures, and Alabama was ready for that. And they played their best game as a unit, as an offensive line, and they were able to give Bryce enough time. And as you talked about it, I think the key too is Georgia is very talented. There is no question about it. But I think Alabama has the 2 best players, and that's Bryce Young and Will Anderson, and both of them showed up in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody came to play like Brock Bowers did on Georgia's team,
Brock Bowers.
We did a lot better. He came to play, man. He came to play. And I don't know, what do you think about, to me, Kirby, I have never figured this out about him. Like with Jake Fromm, he had Justin Fields behind him. I've seen Jake Fromm struggle in games, and he would just leave Justin Fields like, on the sideline. And now nobody can tell me that Stetson Bennett is a better quarterback than JT Daniels. You can't tell me that, and I would never believe that. Why hasn't he, like in the last couple games, what I've never understood about him, when you're playing these teams, and okay, you say JT's not game ready, but you're playing teams like Georgia Tech, whoever they played before that, why didn't you get him some reps in to get him ready? Like, because you knew Stetson Bennett, he can struggle, and he kind of played a little scared to me. There was a couple times he could have ran for about 10 or 15 yards, and he still tried to pass the ball, and I was just like, what are you doing, man? You got nobody in front of you. You got green grass. Why are you still trying to throw the ball? Why don't you go pick up that first down? He played like a little scared to me, and to me, JT Daniels has more of a killer instinct than, Stetson Bennett does. That's just my opinion. What you guys think?
Well, I thought Stetson played well the first half, especially nearly 200 yards in the half, and then I thought he played well in the fourth quarter. He did struggle in the third, and he threw the pick six. He threw for 340. From what I'm hearing, the Georgia media are just from the people that they have, their sources close to the team, is that they believe Stetson's the better quarterback right now. They believe he gives them a better chance to win. Because I thought once he threw the pick six that they would go to JT Daniels to try to get a spark, and that didn't. I don't think that was even under consideration.
All right, Joey, got to move on, brother.
Appreciate it,
Thanks
Joey.
for the call.
Thank you, man.
All right, let's get to Brandon on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, and what a wonderful morning it is.
What's up, man?
Y'all see that video I tweeted you a minute ago?
Oh, you talking about the shirts?
Yeah, that's the good. When they're taking Georgia's championship gear to the recycling bin in the middle of the fourth quarter, that's the good.
Yeah, that video is actually from 2019.
Wow.
Ah, crap. I'm on that one. I couldn't see it. But
you got to watch. Yeah, I've looked at it 100 times. You got to look closely. It says 2019 on the shirts. Yeah.
Right.
And I've listened to Atlanta radio this morning, and you ought to hear it. You talk about the sky is falling. Oh, my God, how did all this happen? Hey, buddy, there are people on radio stations in Atlanta that have deactivated their Twitter accounts because they talk so much trash. They bought plane tickets. They were guaranteed to go to the Cotton Bowl. Well, then Saban set up like the Undertaker back from the dead and took everybody's heart. It was great. Something else that was great is when you got two receivers that are supposed to be better than you show up to your bowl game to watch you basically steal the Biletnikoff Award. Olave and them were there to watch Jamison Williams. How about that? How about you leave and the guys that you were playing behind get to show up and watch you do your thing because your team sucks? That made my day, too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice, though, that they did come down to watch him play. I mean, that's pretty cool that they did come to watch former teammates play.
And how about, are we going to get a bet between Scott Theisen and Jeff from the Borough?
Here we go.
That's right, because Kentucky will take on Iowa. Yeah, my Hawkeyes laid an egg. I told you the offense was awful. and the offense was awful. So.
Well, at least your guys could get a bowl game out of state. Auburn can't even do that.
Well, it'll be a short commute, and then hopefully the Auburn fans will buy those tickets up.
Well, but you can't even get a bowl game out of state. That's bad. How many times has Auburn been to the Birmingham Bowl in the last 10 years? Like 3?
I think this is the second.
Yeah, the second. They played Memphis.
Yeah.
Well, I just would like for them just once to make one of these college playoff games the Bahamas Bowl, because all I'd have to do is tell the wife Alabama's going to the Bahamas Bowl, and we gone.
There you go.
Well,
Roll Tide and Dan Woken may never speak again. I don't know if he will. But after he said, would anybody take Alabama for any reason? I just don't know if he can talk again. Maybe he wants to let Joel Klatt cry on his shoulder. Maybe him and Colin Cowherd, all of them can get together and console each other. But Bama's back. Roll Tide.
All right, let's get to. Thanks for the call. Let's get to Jay from Athens. Good morning, Jay.
Morning, guys. How y'all this morning?
Doing good.
Good, Jay. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Hey, the good for me, of course, is Alabama. The bad is, John Mechie getting hurt. I mean, no contact, just the sticking his foot in the turf and his knee went one way and his body went the other. But the ugly for me was the 80-20 Georgia to Alabama fans. A lot of fans thought, I guess we're just going to get beat, blowed out, and, so they sold their tickets. And, I mean, it was Georgia people everywhere.
Yep.
And for us to just pull it out like we did, it was a remarkable thing.
It was a remarkable performance. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, coaching jobs by Nick Saban, considering what was at stake and who they were playing, and Georgia's unbeaten record. But of course, like Scott and I have been talking, I want to see how Georgia bounces back and how they play against Michigan.
Right.
This should be a good matchup for them with the way Michigan wants to run the football. But are they going to be motivated? In the past, when they've lost to Alabama, they've had trouble motivating themselves. But this time, they're still in the playoff.
It's not the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
It's not a less tier bowl.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then Michigan's going to be supremely motivated because they've been told for years that Harbaugh was never going to win anything. They would never beat Ohio State. And now they play, and then they just crush Iowa. But, of course, we all felt like Michigan was the prohibitive favorite in that game.
Right.
So it's going to be a really interesting matchup, and it's going to be interesting to see if Alabama can stay focused. And you can't just assume, that you're going to beat Cincinnati and roll into the championship game.
And what got me was Kirby going for it down there on that 4th and 10. Why didn't you just let the clock run out, set you up another play? I mean, if you score there, anything's possible in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, he decided to punt. That's what we were saying. They got a false start, and I thought they would still go for it. I was shocked that they didn't. That they kind of threw up the white flag and punted, because I felt like Alabama could get a first down or two, and if they did, it was going to put Georgia in a huge bind, and they weren't going to score again, and they didn't. And Alabama drove down, got a field goal out of it, and then the game really was over.
And to me, Bryce was unreal. I mean, Here's the kid that, has the instinct. He fixing to get tackled, backward lateral to B-Rob for a good game, and give it up to B-Rob,
Yeah, it was a warrior.
He played his heart out on a bum leg, and then Trey Sanders gets hurt, a definite target, and they didn't even look at, and he gets knocked out. So just the team played great, and I'm looking forward to the Cotton Bowl and maybe one more time against Georgia. Y'all have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks. I tell you what, Randy, I know you're holding, but we've got to get to break.
Yep.
We'll get to you, Randy, if you can call us back a little bit later, but we got to get to break because Chris Landry's on the other end. We've got to get his thoughts on the SEC championship game, the bowl schedule, the national championship, everything. Chris Landry going to break it all down with us next.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect this morning, including northwest Madison County. Also included Colbert, Lauderdale, Limestone, Franklin, and Lawrence County. Also tornado warning in effect for Giles and Lawrence County, Tennessee. Be careful, be very weather aware this morning. Accident-wise, still got Joe Quick and Sweetwater working with injuries. Madison Boulevard and Slaughter and Greenbrier and Highway 20 reported as no injury. You can save 25% off the Wise membership fee and become a healthier you in 2022. You pay no joining fee at any branch of the YMCA or at ymcahuntsville.org. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm Chris Haygood at Bob Wallace Appliance.
Hey, Dad, if someone gets an appliance for Christmas, how will Santa get it down the chimney?
Magic.
Madeline, part of the magic of the season is our chance to get together again. More often than not, those gatherings will be in the kitchen. Look for holiday savings on the best brands you already know and trust, like Whirlpool, KitchenAid, and Maytag.
Santa's gonna need some help delivering those.
That's what we're here for.
Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman.
Bob Wallace Appliance.
Valley Equipment Rental. Pretty self-explanatory name, no? Tom Abraham here. And look, Valley Equipment Rental is all over the Tennessee Valley, and they rent equipment, all kinds of equipment, and not just to the contractors out there, but to you, the general public, as well. Need a skid steer or an excavator? Well, they've got over 40 units to make sure they've got one for you. From huge boom lifts to miscellaneous hand tools, it's at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Parkway. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. More on that to come.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And indeed, welcome back to Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your home for the college football playoffs, including the national championship game. You have the Cotton Bowl on the 31st, top-ranked Alabama, fourth-ranked Cincinnati. That one will get underway, kickoff at 2:30. And then, of course, the nightcap will see Michigan, second-ranked Michigan, third-ranked Georgia in the Orange Bowl later that night in what should be some fantastic college football, playoff football.
Yeah, no question. And Chris Landry has started to join us now on a weekly basis, and we appreciate that. And it's brought to you by his sponsor, MyPillow, 1-800-659-2338. Enter promo code Landry, and we always appreciate him joining us. LandryFootball.com, probably the preeminent source for coaching carousel information, breaking down film, and just college football, NFL football talk. And he's with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Chris, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Good morning, guys. How are you?
We are good, and I guess we're a little stunned here. I mean, I certainly picked Georgia. Scott did. We all thought Georgia had the huge advantage going into the Atlanta to the SEC championship game. This Alabama offensive line had struggled in pass protection all year. Bryce Young, we knew how special he was. Will Anderson defensively for the Tide. But Alabama saved their best for the biggest moment, Chris. What was your thoughts after you broke that down and how Alabama was able to move the football so well on a Georgia defense that was thought to be generational?
Well, I think it's a further indication of how much of an advantage having Nick and his coaching staff at putting together a game plan. We talk rightly so about building a program and recruiting and developing having the better team, but this is a case of where you can take a game plan and creatively try to attack an opponent and do a better job. And I didn't think Georgia responded very well at all. I think Georgia didn't bring enough pressure. They didn't get in Bryce Young's face. I thought that Alabama would work the quick passing game well. I thought they did a good job of inserting the backs and protections a little bit more so that they gave him time. And I think that is something that Georgia did not adjust to. A lot of us have talked about, well, if you have enough time to attack Georgia's secondary, how would they respond? And no one's been able to do it, and Alabama was able to attack it. It just was certainly had some matchup advantages that they took advantage. I thought the bunch sets, a lot of the criticism of the coaches, look, I'm going to speak up for coaches a little bit. I mean, I criticize them when they're deserving, but, a lot of credit should go to Bill O'Brien, who's taken a lot of heat. What a game plan of being able to run some bunch sets, creatively getting guys open. It was a tremendous job. On the other side, Georgia offensively didn't do anything to get guys open. I mean, they got no separation, so it was a little bit easier coverage game for Alabama. I mean, the throwing windows was a lot narrower because they didn't really do a good job of from a formation standpoint. It was almost as if Georgia felt like we clearly have the better team, and we just are going to play it like any other team and any other opponent. We're going to go out there and do what we do, and we're not going to be concerned or adjust to what they're doing. And it bit them. And I thought Alabama played looser, more aggressive. They played like an underdog. They played like a team that didn't have anything to lose. And they were the aggressor and, obviously played with a little bit of an edge and an attitude. And I thought the offensive line, really stood up to the challenge, but also thought that they really helped it with some of their protection looks. And I thought the quarterback has been unbelievable. I mean, Bryce Young is just a different type of beast in terms of his ability to see the field, play under pressure. He loves it. And I just thought that he just took it to him, and having the decisive advantage at quarterback was another real huge factor in this game.
Until Kirby Smart can beat this Alabama team, this is that win that eludes him. He is going to get criticized for everything that happens in said game. What's that feeling now like for Kirby Smart? How big of a mountain do you think he's going to have to face now with the pressure of just trying to get a win over Alabama, which, by the way, could happen again here in about a month?
Well, here's the thing I think that Kirby and Georgia has to do. They've got a month or so to get ready for the playoffs and a good Michigan team, and then if they're able to navigate that, then likely having to play Alabama again. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to prepare your team? How are you going to prepare for the opponent and do things that are, not so you want to do the things that you do well, but you have to have a little bit more of an eclectic game plan. They did not adjust. They did not change anything, again, feeling like they didn't need to. And I'm not just talking about, change this player, change that player. They didn't really I thought that they would do. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. I just knew they were going to bring high-level pressure against Alabama's front, because that's what A&M did, and that's what LSU did, copy that, and that's what Auburn did. It was pretty obvious they were going to bring a lot of blitz pressure. If they do that, it's probably a different game. You've got to attack that weakness, and basically they allowed that weakness of Alabama's to get away with, hey, look, we only have to block four. So the other thing that you want to do against Georgia is you want to wear down that impressive defensive front. But if you keep them on the field and you keep Jordan Davis on the field, he was gassed. And so I thought that, they did a good job there. So what Georgia's got to do is, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to play this defensively? Where are we going to bring pressure? Are we going to do things a little bit differently? Because you don't want to allow this game to be decided defensively by your secondary. You've got to bring more pressure with your front. I also thought they did a poor job with their pattern match on defense and coverage. You know, they run a lot of the same style that Alabama runs. You know, people think they run man. They're really your pattern match, and they did a very, very insufficient job. And quite frankly, Jamison Williams split the double coverage most of the game. So I think this is pivotal because now it's about you got a month to prepare. You've got, you've got a game plan that didn't work against an opponent. If you get them again and you don't adjust, I think it's that much worse. I mean, it's bad, and it's going to be bad for 30 days, and they're going to all doubt them. But now the shoe's on the other foot. Now no one really expects Georgia to win because, kind of as you said, well, he's got his number. They're not good enough. They can't do it, and it'll never happen. And well, you know, it can happen. It's really up to Georgia and Kirby how they play it. They got plenty of time, as I mentioned. If they don't get it done now, it will be a really, really tough, blow to Kirby. Not that it's not now. It will be 100 times worse because you've now got a blueprint of what you don't want to do and plenty of time to make the adjustments. I think that there's really no excuse at this point. Not that there was for that game plan Saturday, but there's really not going to be now. So there's a lot of pressure on Georgia and Kirby to fix this, particularly when this is the one time that you've got maybe the overall better team. And, you know, Alabama ended up going into that game with maybe less pieces, less chess pieces, but, boy, they worked them a lot better, and they out-coached the pants out of Georgia Saturday.
And we're talking to Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. And now, Chris, Alabama with another significant loss. John Mechie had a big first half. He is done for the year. Now finishes the year with 96 catches, over 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. He will be a significant loss. How do you expect that to impact Alabama and then affect the matchup potentially with Cincinnati, who Alabama should have the advantage in this deal, but a lot of it's going to be mindset as well. Alabama had the right mindset against Georgia. They got to keep it in preparing for Luke Fickell's bunch.
Yeah, and this Cincinnati team is a lot better than maybe a lot of folks, a lot of folks down south that may be aware and watch some of the games. They don't realize truly how good Cincinnati is. This is not a nice little story. This is a really good team that just didn't play a schedule and didn't play, as well as they're capable of. But, boy, they've got a corner that's as good as any corner in the country. I mean, he can line up and play for anybody in the country. Alabama, Georgia, he's be lining up and starting in the NFL next year. So it's going to be a challenge. Here's what, if there's a positive, and there's no positive to having an injury, I feel bad for the young man, but you've got, again, 25 days, and I'm not going to be practicing all those deals. There'll be time off. But you've got opportunities for Earl and Brooks and Holden, guys that heretofore have not been a integral part of the game plan. They're going to get a lot of reps, and they're going to have, and I'm sure they will have, a really good game plan of how that they're going to involve those guys because they've got really good corners. Bryant is another good corner for Cincinnati. But I think you're going to see opportunities for other guys that are going to get a lot of reps, practice reps to get ready for this game that are going to have to be big factors. I think the tight ends are going to have to be a factor, and the tight ends at times have played well. The tight ends at times have dropped balls. Alabama played for the most part, a clean game and did everything well. They're going to have that. So it's a step-up moment. There's talent there, obviously, and a lot of guys that maybe haven't seen a lot of reps are going to see an awful lot of reps in practice. So it'll be interesting to see. The one thing is that Cincinnati likes to run the football. And defensively, that's going to be the challenge, to be really sound with your run fits, because if they don't run it well, the quarterback, Desmond Ridder, who's got a lot of physical gifts, will throw the football to the other team. He will turn the football over. But he likes to run, and I would expect Luke Fickell in that staff to really put together a game plan where they're going to run him a lot. Mobile quarterbacks in the past have given Alabama some trouble, so they better be ready defensively to defend an extra gap in the run game, because I think he's going to run it really effectively.
What about the other semifinal game, Georgia-Michigan? Michigan comes in dismantling Iowa, a poor offensive Iowa team, and Michigan did exactly what they were supposed to do, dominate this one in Indianapolis. Georgia's going to have their hands full, and this is almost like Kirby Smart-esque, because Jim Harbaugh had to exercise some of those get-by demons by getting by Ohio State, and then did the next level and win the Big Ten.
Yeah, look, this is another case of Georgia's got and this is the first example into maybe another shot at Alabama. They get a really good Michigan team that's very good defensively. They've got to have a better game plan offensively, and if they don't, and I didn't think the other issue for Georgia, I didn't think the offensive line played very well for Georgia. They're going to have a really good game plan. They're going to have to execute very well against the Michigan team, or everything I said about their chances, they may not even get that chance against Alabama. I think they will. I think they're the better team here. I think that Michigan's got some limitations on offense that Alabama doesn't. So they're not nearly as explosive. So I think you'll see the Georgia defense respond and play well. But I think not necessarily the game plan that they're going to have for Michigan is going to be the ideal one against Alabama. I expect Georgia to win and Alabama to win, and we have the rematch. That's how I think it's going to play out. But, big games and moments for Georgia, it's fair to question whether, they're going to have the right game plan and do the right things, and offensively, are they prepared to make the necessary adjustments there? And it's not just about the quarterback, but, they've got to be prepared, I think, to at least have that as an option that they can go to. And I'm curious to see if Kirby's, willing to do that if he has to switch to the quarterback, if he feels that is something that's going to jumpstart his team.
Well, and Chris, as we're wrapping it up with you, and this is again Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Great insight into these college football playoff semifinals, and then the Alabama Crimson Tide's 41-24 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. There's a major storyline in the coaching carousel that could play out today. What is the latest with Mario Cristobal and the University of Miami?
He's going to announce today or decide today, at least that's the expectation. It sounds like certainly in South Florida they expect him to accept the deal. A lot of money involved. It'll be a really healthy contract along the lines of what we've seen recently, maybe just a little bit less, maybe in the $8 million a year range. But, they're having to pay, we'll have to pay a buyout of at least that to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
He shows what really happens when you got boosters running a search, because that's what's going on. There's no athletic director. I expect Dan Radakovich to get that job, but he may be watching things right now and having second thoughts. I don't know. But I think that's likely what's going to happen here is they're going after Manny. It's Mario, rather, and they've done this in a very unsavory way to just kind of basically leave Manny hanging, because the feeling is they want Mario to come in. They believe he can be the great recruiter, and if he's not, then they'll just keep Manny for a year, which is an awful way to deal with it.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a bad situation, and that is they're going about it the completely wrong way.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's to leave Manny Diaz hanging and then really not even have an AD in place yet. You're trying to kind of hire him at the same time. It's really a weird situation. And now Oregon may have to be searching for a head football coach yet again. They've had several of these searches, unfortunately for them, over the past few seasons. Well, Chris, we appreciate the time. Let everybody know how they can connect with you guys over at LandryFootball.com, and we know you'll have all the breakdowns and, of course, the Mario Cristobal situation covered.
Yeah, LandryFootball.com is kind of one-stop shopping. You get all the detailed film room breakdowns of all the games, college, pro game, all the inside information, the coaching searches, the draft, recruiting. We got it all for you. It's like having your own scouting department for less than a magazine subscription. So check it out today. We're thinking of all the podcasts, everything we've got going on over there.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
All right, let's get our break in. When we come back, more college football talk and your phone calls, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. We've got some thunderstorms moving through the area. They have generated some warnings, so you definitely want to pay attention to the weather for the next little while. Got a wreck at Joe Quick in Sweetwater that reported with an injury. Had a vehicle leave the scene there. Everything else from earlier should be out of the way, and had a traffic signal problem in Madison, Sullivan in front. It's been taken care of as well. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman is insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. It's an easy-to-use oral device, no mask, no hose. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penney Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penney perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penney Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penney Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPenneyToyota.com. Bill Penney's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno-country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
So close to home, just 5 miles from downtown Huntsville, Montesano State Park sits on over 2,000 acres with spectacular vistas from atop Montesano Mountain. And right now would be a great time to purchase our zone deal so you can plan your getaway and save money. Get a 2-night stay in a cabin at Montesano State Park for the price of just 1 night, only $140. Get your zone deal before they're gone at 977ESPN.com.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation.
And we are back live, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And we're live from Bill Penney Toyota, right along University Drive on the service department. It may be raining, But you can still get your car serviced, get all your car's needs. You just pull right on in to the bays. You don't even have to get out in the rain. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. We've been breaking down this year's SEC championship game. That is some of the good, the bad, the ugly from over the weekend, and we were talking about it with Chris Landry. To me, that is the most ugliest situation going on right now.
Miami.
Because what Miami is doing to Manny Diaz is awful. He is under contract with the school.
Mm-hmm.
He is still employed by the school.
Yep.
The school does not have an athletics director, so what they've done is they've relied on the boosters to go on, and I'm just going to say be rogue and do whatever they want to do because that's what they're doing, have contacted Mario Cristobal, has given Mario Cristobal a contract and a deadline for him to accept the Miami job. If Mario Cristobal accepts the Miami job, Manny Diaz is fired. I don't agree with that at all. I think that is wrong. I think it is.
I don't know where they got
awful.
the money. I guess all of a sudden they've decided they want to commit to the sport because the money on the table, supposedly for Mario, I'm saying, is $8 million per year, which is, I think Mark Richt was making $4 million, and Manny's not making near that. So now all of a sudden they want to pay a coach. I guess they're going to give Mario some guarantees with facilities and things of that nature, and they're going to pay Dan Radakovich supposedly big money. And he, by the way, I did some research with Radakovich. He's a Miami guy.
Yes, he's at
Miami
Clemson
grad.
right now,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And he was at Georgia Tech before that, but he's a Miami guy. So they're trying to do this as a package deal for the Canes, and I guess they have to because they are in a bad spot right now, but it's their own fault because they hired Manny Diaz to begin with. But you think they could do it in a more professional way. Hire Dan Radakovich, then have Radakovich come in and hire the coach.
Yes.
If you want Mario, that's fine.
I just think it's wrong
But
that
just
you
don't give deadlines and don't be leaving, Manny Diaz out in the cold because he's out recruiting. How do you recruit when you don't even know if you're going to be the head coach?
Yeah, you can't recruit today. You can't sit there and say, well,
you wouldn't be telling people the truth. I mean,
I mean, what are you going to do? Walk into a recruit's room and say, look, by 5 o'clock today, I may not be the head coach. Depends if this guy wants the job or not. So, it's just awful. I can't.
That to me, that is the ugly. For the bad was, I think Chris Landry went over a lot of that. The bad was the Georgia game plan.
Yep.
I think they thought that they just had the better team. They were going to overwhelm Alabama. They just played their game. They did not, and I thought they would watch what Auburn did in Texas A&M, and that's another reason why I wasn't as confident. I thought they would blitz Bryce Young and disrupt him. And so I just felt like that the game plan wasn't good by Kirby. He got out coached. And then the good was just the complete performance by Alabama.
All right, let's get to Randy on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Randy. Thanks for calling back.
Tyler.
Morning.
Hey, Drew.
Yep.
You talking about A&M? Here's the thing people don't understand. A&M didn't beat Alabama. They beat themselves.
Well, you could say a lot of that.
You can say that, but
it's
in
still
the
a
end, the L is there because Texas A&M scored more points.
Right.
But look here. Yeah, I heard you boys comment the other morning from Michigan, Wolverine, Dan.
Yeah, Wolverine Dan. Yeah, he got a big win for himself.
Dan, but you can play them Georgia Bulldogs now because they fuming, buddy. So you get ready to play.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yes.
Yeah,
real fast.
Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, nobody said nothing about our boys in basketball. What about that win?
Oh, yeah. We're going to go over that with Travis right here in a few minutes. It was a tremendous day to be an Alabama athletics fan. There's no doubt about that. It was a great win, 91-82, over a team that many people think is going to be in the Final Four and have a chance to win a national title.
But I thought our team won good, just like they lost at Texas A&M.
Right.
I thought they played good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say, fellas. See y'all.
All right, thanks, Randy.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's get to Ray real fast. Good morning, Ray.
What's up, Ray?
Nobody's gotten to me fast in my life, but that's all right.
What's going on, brother?
Fellas?
Good, fella. How are you?
I'm great. Few things. First of all, this whole Miami coaching search, I'm putting it in my air quotes, the whole circumstance, as unprofessional as it is, isn't it just magically on brand for the University of Miami athletics?
Well, yeah, I would agree with that.
Lately, yes.
Well, even if over history, yeah, from the Jimmy Johnson on, yeah, I would say yeah.
So that's what that is. And Alabama, Georgia, I'm going to address that really fast. Give me your thoughts after you let me go or on the other side of the break there, top of the hour.
Sure.
It very much looked like Georgia rolled in with a early 90s game plan. We do what we do. Stop us if you can.
No, they did. I totally agree with that.
I still think their offensive approach is too much 08, and they're just not explosive enough offensively, and they didn't vary it much. I actually thought Stetson competed. He did a good job. I'm not sure, though, that he can stretch the field enough like a guy, like a JT Daniels. But I will say this. I'm going to predict something. I don't think they'll go to JT Daniels. I think they're going to continue to give Stetson Bennett the QB job. I think the locker room's behind Stetson, and they'll come out with a chip on their shoulder against Michigan. But Michigan's going to have a chip on theirs as well because they've been doubted. It's going to be a really fascinating matchup in Miami, Scott.
All right, it will be. It'll be an interesting one in Dallas as well. Cincinnati gets their shot. They wanted it. They got it. All right, hour 2 going to get underway. Travis Reier is going to join us. He's going to give us his shot at Alabama-Cincinnati.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Switching season is here at WOW. Get gig speed internet for just $64.99 a month at wowway.com. Plus, get a year of HBO Max included and $300 on us. Wow. After the promotional period, HBO Max will auto-renew at then prevailing rate. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at Jordan and Bob Wallace. I don't have an injury report on that one yet. Old Madison, Pike, and Wynn reported as an injury type. Joe Quick and Sweetwater also had injuries involved. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Egg in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. Temperatures are expected to fall throughout the day. We'll gradually make our way into the upper 40s by the afternoon. We could also see gusty winds as high as 25 miles per hour. For your Monday night, a mostly clear sky, low temperatures in the lower 30s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
NBA, the Hawks at 12-12 on the season, going on the road tonight to face the Timberwolves. Atlanta, a 1.5-point road underdog, 7 p.m. tip-off. Monday Night Football, an AFC East showdown between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park. The Patriots 8-4 and in first place. The Bills 7-4 in second. The Patriots undefeated on the road this season. Buffalo is a 3-point favorite, the over-under 41. The college football playoff top 4 has been set. Top-ranked Alabama opening as a 13.5-point favorite over number 4 Cincinnati, the first group of 5 team in playoff history, and number 2 Michigan getting 7 points against third-ranked Georgia.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome into Hour 2 of Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you live from Bill Penney Toyota. sending out here in the service department. Yes, it is raining, and but that does not and should not stop you from bringing your car here to get it serviced Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., just pull right on into the bays. You don't even have to get out in the rain. They'll take care of all your service needs. And when you're here, make sure you step on in. Look for one of those brand new Toyotas. Great financing deals available. And as always, Bill Penney Toyota looking for that next good employee. Make sure you visit BillPennyToyota.com today and see if you can start your career here at Bill Penney Toyota. Alabama did what most people couldn't all season long, and that is get by the Georgia Bulldogs. Did so in fashion that Georgia fans were not used to seeing this year. An Alabama team comes in there, Drew, and posts numbers on this Georgia team that had not been seen all year.
Nope.
But last week, yes, we may have thought Georgia was going to win, but we looked at it and we said, you know what? This Georgia team hadn't faced a quarterback out of the East with Bryce Young's abilities, and they hadn't faced an Alabama front defense like that all season long as well. So something had to give.
Yeah, it had to give, and certainly Alabama had a great game plan. Bill O'Brien, Doug Marrone, all those guys. I think an X factor, too, was Joe Pendry, who's a special assistant to the head coach with Nick Saban. I think he helped with that offensive game plan, especially with the offensive line and getting them ready to go. As you remember, Scott, he was the first offensive line coach Nick Saban had at Alabama, and then has since then been, in the building. Even though he's retired from an on-field coaching perspective, he still helps Nick Saban out, no doubt about that. And we're going to discuss all that with our next guest, and our next guest is the senior analyst since 2003 for BamaOnline.com. Does a great job with their daily podcast as well, and that's our good friend Travis Ryer, and he's with us now to join us on Talkin Ball. Travis, good morning. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. You're with Drew and Scott once again. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are good. I guess we're just a little bit surprised at how that whole game played out, Travis. We talked to Chris Landry in hour one. He kind of broke down what he saw from an Alabama and Georgia perspective and the game plans both used. I always enjoy getting your thoughts on this because you always do a great job. You give your thoughts before the game, then you come back after and take a look back, and then you also give us your grades for each position. So we'll start on offense. Really, probably considering the opponent the best offensive performance of the year.
Yeah, I would say so. You certainly knew going into the game that a lot of it was going to ride on Bryce Young and that passing attack. But, I think to be able to get even 71 scrimmage yards out of Brian Robinson, I wouldn't have anticipated that going into the game. And that's before you talk about his impact as a pass protector as well, and concerns you had primarily with the Georgia defense that when you look at its pass rush, its most dynamic guys are certainly at the linebacker level. And you could say that maybe about the Alabama defense to an extent as well. But, just in four-man pass rush situations, Georgia isn't excessively dynamic. Kind of big and large up front. We know that with Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt, some of those guys. But Robinson was big in pass protection, and Bryce was great, especially in that second quarter. He threw for 248 yards in the second quarter alone. So Jamison Williams with the explosive play to get Alabama on the board, and then to follow that up with a couple more touchdowns and a field goal there in that second quarter was huge. Hate to see John Mechie go out. I think we're still going to find out, how important he is to all of that, especially the way he has produced over the second half of the season. But they do have some time to work with, and it's also going to benefit them with some other injuries too. I mean, Brian Robinson's obviously going to benefit from that time. JoJo Earl trying to get back from injury, so it definitely took from them in the game in terms of the injury. But they may get some help from this time off too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nick Saban alluded to it yesterday that JoJo Earl may be back, able to be in this semifinal game with Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then if you get by Cincinnati, you've got another 10 or 11 days until the January 10th final, and not to look too far ahead of things because I think Cincinnati's certainly a capable opponent. But, yeah, you start working on some time frames for some injuries for this team, and again, the Mechie loss is a big one, but you could get some help on the way.
You could, no doubt. And Travis, we did see Alabama deal with the Mechie injury. They had to play the second half against Georgia without him. We saw Slade Bolden finish with 5 catches for 54 yards, including the long of 24 on that huge third down play to move the chains in the fourth quarter. We also saw, Trayshawn Holden make a couple of catches in the second half. And I know Ja'Cory Brooks will also be a part of it going forward. So, and then the tight ends. I thought the tight ends both did some good things in this game. They will probably be a bigger part of things going forward.
Yeah, you would hope this would be a spot, especially for Jalil Billingsley, to give you more than what you've gotten out of him to this point of the season. And I wrote about it before the game. Alabama, even with Mechie, needed the tight ends to revert back to more of what we saw in the first half of the season than what we saw over the second. And I thought Latu, 13-yard grab there in the first half. Jalil, a couple of catches, so that was good to see. And, after the Mechie injury, I thought Slade had a couple of big catches, including that 3rd and 5 24-yarder he had there with about 6 minutes to go in the game that really went a long way in sealing it for Alabama. So they're going to need a continuation of that. Obviously opposing defenses now are going to even more look at Jamison Williams and think, well, we can put a safety over the top of that. Not that even mattered on his 55-yarder for a touchdown Saturday night, but certainly the focus is going to be even more on Jamison Williams now. And so Bolden, Brooks, Billingsley, maybe even some more of the backs in the passing game. You're going to have to come up with some ways to sort of backfill for what you've lost in John Mechie.
If you're looking for that feel-good story, Travis, it has to be Trey Sanders. Everything that he's overcome getting to this point. Brian Robinson, we didn't know how much he was going to be counted on. Trey Sanders, everything that he's had to overcome. What a day it was just for him to help this Alabama football team.
Yeah, it was huge to be able to get as much out of Brian Robinson as you did, but certainly having Sanders in that role. And we saw him early. We saw Christian Leary early, second series for Alabama. You saw both those guys enter the game at various points in that possession. So Sanders had a big run in the fourth quarter, and Evan Neal did a really nice job on a couple of plays, and so did Seth McLaughlin and Milwaukee-Orr to kind of help pop at least a couple of runs of 13 yards or more. But to have Sanders, feeling good about himself and let alone just feeling good in general, has been huge here down the stretch. Sometimes that's what it takes, guys get in a bit of a rut and they just need the opportunity to sort of spark some things. And it's never been a question about talent, certainly with Trey Sanders. It's been more about not just injuries, but the severity of the kind of injuries that he's had, and then sort of coping with the mental aspect of things as well.
And Travis, also defensively for Alabama, once again, good run defense. I never would have thought that Alabama would outrush the Dogs, but they did. Alabama's run defense has really been good all year long. Still some issues in the secondary, some penalties, but they win the turnover battle. And third down defense, 3 for 12 for Georgia. Alabama offensively 7 of 14. I thought that was a big area where Alabama was able to have a decisive advantage. But again, defensively for the Tide, good run defense, and that's going to be a key against Cincinnati as well. Jerome Ford, who they should be very familiar with, as you know, a quality running back for the Bearcats.
Yeah, and a quarterback that can hurt you in the run game as well. So that dynamic comes back into play. Opponent to me that's kind of similar to an Ole Miss. When you look at what Cincinnati likes to do in the run game and also even defensively, kind of a 3-3-5 approach. So Alabama has some familiarity with that look as well, not just with Ole Miss, but a couple other defenses that they saw this season. So, should resonate with Alabama during the preparation stages. And, I think that secondary, the safeties were lights out. Jordan Battle, DeMarco Helms, very, very good against Georgia. The corners, Kool-Aid obviously with a couple penalties, Josh Jobe with a hold. Brian Branch was flagged. I thought Brian Branch played well, though. I thought Daniel Wright did some good things as well. So safeties and sub-package guys were really good. Corners took a few lumps, but at least on those penalties, you didn't give up touchdowns. That's kind of been a bugaboo for them. It's, you saw it again in the game Saturday, some yards after catch with McConkey scoring and Bauer scoring in those type of situations. If they just give themselves the chance to play red zone defense, you saw in the third quarter and even in the fourth quarter what they're capable of doing as far as getting off the field and then the pick six, that they got from Jordan Battle. But all in all, considering that they got Stetson Bennett to throw it 48 times, and that was the key for me going into the game, number of attempts for Stetson Bennett. And, you get him north of 25, 30, that's getting Georgia out of its comfort zone.
Well, here we go. Cincinnati gets their shot. Everybody thought, everybody wants to see Cincinnati in there. And I guess if you're going to say, hey, here's your shot, it's not against anybody just oh-hum in college football. It is the pinnacle. That is Alabama. Alabama, Cincinnati in the semifinals. What better way to say you belong there than trying to compete against what has been the best football team year in and year out over the last 10 years?
Yeah. I know some folks have sort of made the comparison to, when Alabama took on Utah in the 2009 Sugar Bowl, but obviously the stakes couldn't be more different. That was a letdown sort of situation for Alabama after dropping that 2008 SEC championship game to Florida. So, they've been in this situation before. There should be a comfort level with that in terms of preparation. The seventh time that, Nick Saban is taking a team into the college football playoff, the most of any head coach. So they know how to navigate this sort of upcoming process, including the individual award circuit, which really shouldn't be all that busy for them outside of a couple of players, including obviously Bryce Young coming up this weekend. But, Cincinnati is a veteran team, a good defensive team, and a good defensive team against the pass. So, I think the Bearcats are going to have some confidence going into this game, and certainly they have a lot to prove on one of the biggest stages you're going to find.
Well, Travis, I think we all believe that Bryce Young has put himself in position to win the fourth Heisman Trophy under Nick Saban for the University of Alabama and become the first QB to do that. Jamison Williams, with his huge performance against Georgia, I believe should be the front runner for the Biletnikoff. What are your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I can't argue with either of those, especially with, again, I don't know exactly the process or the procedure for Biletnikoff voting, but I know with the Heisman, those folks have until 4 Central today to get their votes in. They should have been able to go ahead and get them in by midnight, I think, Saturday, after what we saw from Bryce. And I think you could say the same thing about Jamison and his performance. And, again, even after Mechie went out, he beats the Georgia secondary for a 55-yard touchdown grab. So he's been tremendous, and, he's been good even on special teams. Once again, you saw him gunning on punts. Didn't get ejected this week for targeting, so that was a real positive, but, had a big play early while doing that on a James Burnett punt that flipped the field for Alabama. So he's very similar to Devontae in some ways from a year ago. You saw some of that from Devontae Smith, and Jamison Williams has certainly stepped into those shoes quite nicely this year.
Well, Travis, the feeling that Alabama fans had after the SEC championship was a glow. Then a couple hours later, Nate Oates and company keep that glow going in that battle in Seattle as Alabama takes down Gonzaga in basketball.
Really did, and took the fight to the Zags. I mean, when you consider this was pretty much a wire-to-wire job, we can say it was a neutral court, but if you watch the game, even on the broadcast, you could pick up that it was very much a road game for Alabama. And I think you could even say that from an officiating standpoint in some ways too, because they got whistle-whipped pretty good, especially where the foul differential was concerned. And Fortunately for Alabama, Gonzaga had an Alabama kind of night at free throw line, just 13 of 25. And, Drew Timme, you expected to be a handful, and he was with 23 and 10. But I thought Alabama, even though it gave up 82 points, did a good job on the other guys that you really didn't want to kill you, like an Andrew Nembhard and a Chet Holmgren. So you get 20 points from J.D. Davison off the bench. He makes 4 threes to go along with what Shackelford did, especially in the first half. And just a pretty complete performance by this Alabama team. And, it doesn't get any easier coming up. You get a top 15 team in Houston this Saturday, and then go on the road to Memphis. It's a struggling Penny Hardaway team right now, but still very talented. And it's a pretty serious gauntlet, but a huge win for Alabama over a top 5 team in Gonzaga.
Yeah, and to see J.D. Davison do what he did, make perimeter shots. And, Travis, you and I have discussed this. J.D., so talented. To me, the best prospect to come out of the state since Gerald Wallace from a physical standpoint. But if he makes jump shots like that, and then the play he made, it's been, ad nauseum, just seen on Twitter over and over again in social media, the great play to get the steal late and the dunk after getting a big-time deflection, kind of a back tap, and then he intercepts the ball and goes down and dunks it. He has unbelievable physical tools, but if he shows the skill that he did to make threes and go to the free throw line and knock shots down, he's hard to guard.
Yeah, and that's going to be the scout on him until he does it consistently. This guy is so explosive off the bounce and in the open floor that defenses are obviously going to take their chances with him from beyond the arc. And so to see him make 4 threes on 6 attempts, that's kind of a game changer potentially in terms of what else will open up for him because he's able to do that. Now, he's going to have to do it consistently, but, that was a real positive, no doubt about it.
It really was. And then I wanted one more thought from you on the basketball perspective. It's probably, to me, I know there were some huge wins last year, SEC tournament, regular season championship, but it's probably the biggest individual win for Nate Oates and this program from a national perspective, especially considering 18,000 people in Seattle, Washington. But I thought, too, one other thing they did, they played through difficult officiating. 4 guys had 4 fouls near the end of that game. And Charles Bediako defensively, I thought, was a huge force when you're having to combat the Drew Timmes and the Chet Holmgrens.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you were hoping to see from Bediako in terms of rim protection and just that presence in the paint, a real discourager, I guess you could call him in that regard. And you're right, the fouls, they mounted up quickly for Alabama, but Gonzaga, to me, was surprisingly bad on the front end of 1-and-1s. Mm-hmm. So whereas they shot 25 free throws in the game, you think about the free throws they left out there because they weren't very good in terms of the front end. So Alabama was able, as you said, to weather some things and what was really had a feel of a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type of game. But it wasn't exactly a neutral court, as we know, playing in Seattle and in front of that kind of crowd.
It certainly wasn't. But huge win for Nate Oates, huge win for Nick Saban. It was a great day for Alabama athletics, no doubt. Bama Online was all over it. Travis, let everybody know how they can connect with you guys, and we know the Heisman's going to be a big topic this week and recruiting as well with that signing period fast approaching.
Yep, no doubt about it. BamaOnline.com, Alabama.247sports.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Travis Reier, Reier.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
Travis Reier with us there on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. That is good stuff. Let's stay on there, I believe. Is Jeff from the Borough still with us? All right, let's go. Jeff from the Borough up next. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good, Jeff. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Just want to say, well, Alabama did what they had to do. Cincinnati did what they had to do. So I'm glad Cincinnati's getting their shot. So we'll see.
They are.
So we'll see. They get their shot. I'm sure everybody wants to get pounded. I guess or some people do. I don't know. I'm hoping they can make it competitive. Well, they played with Georgia last year, so that don't mean they can't. Don't mean they can't play with Alabama. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But and Michigan and Georgia, I like to see Michigan beat Georgia, but I don't know. Who knows? So who knows on that? So but Michigan had a great year. So Harbaugh's going to try for a while, I think. So and things. So but I didn't know y'all so interested in Miami football. It's all about the U. It's a Canes thing. It's a Canes thing. Y'all wouldn't understand. So they're going to handle it. They'll be all right. They get them a coach pretty soon. So.
Jeff, it's not about a Canes thing. That's not what I'm upset. I just think it's a black eye for any university that you have a coach that's employed and you go out and offer another one a contract while you have somebody under contract. I'm just saying how they're going.
That's probably true, but that's Miami. That's Miami's deal with them handling it. So they can do what they want to do. And I'm sure they'll fix it. I mean, Diaz was assistant up here in Middle Tennessee for a while, so I'm sure I'm sure if he gets fired, hopefully he can find another job. I guess I don't know, but I'm sure they'll fix it. I mean, I guess they're going to a bowl game. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll fix it. If I was Chris Ball, I'd stay at Oregon. I wouldn't fool with Miami, but he might take the money like the rest of them, and then find out 3-4 years later he's fired. So like when they found out Virginia Tech, he took that money, didn't he? He told Memphis no good. Went to Virginia Tech. Oh well, he's fired now, so he's out of Virginia Tech. So so we'll see. But the ACC is not a football conference anyway, except Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. So that's about all. So the rest of them we ain't worried about. So, but I did want to tell y'all about Cutcliffe. I was looking stuff up. He did win 10 twice. He won 10 once at Ole Miss and once at Duke. But his career record at Duke was 77 and 97. In the last 3 years, he was 10 and 25. So I'm sure that's probably why they parted ways, but and everything. So, but like I said, until they make a commitment to football anyway, they're not going to do much. So but I don't think they're worried too much about football. It's all about the hoops, and if they can, get them. It's a guy the coach takes over from Coach K for pretty good. He'll be all right. But it's still early. I'm surprised Gonzaga lost, but when you make shots like Alabama does, when you make 10 threes and a half, you got a chance. So, I'll give Alabama credit. They beat Gonzaga. I'll give them credit, but it's still early. So, but we'll have to wait and see. But I know West Neighbors think it's going to be 8-0, but maybe Cincinnati can compete with Alabama. We'll find out and see. I don't care if their schedule shrinks 9-44. They're in the playoff, so that's the bottom line. See you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks. Obviously, it's too early for Iowa-Kentucky talk. But anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that as the bowl games go along.
Well, the thing is, as far as they always talk about the old adage, styles make fights. That's an interesting matchup because both of them want to run the ball and they both want to be physical. They're
neither one has a great offense.
Yeah. Neither has an explosive offense. So that's going to be an interesting bowl matchup, no doubt.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, more phone calls from you as we continue on our Monday edition of Talking Ball live from Bill Penney Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like that wreck at Jordan and Bob Wallace is going to turn out to be a no injury. Old Madison Pike and Wynn was reported with an injury. Joe Quick and Sweetwater near Hazel Green also reported as an injury type. Still may be trying to get it clear. You get 3 pieces of the crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Never mind fall and football being in the air. We want to taste it.
And never mind not being able to tailgate at the game. Let's create the ultimate barbecue experience in your own backyard.
You said it, Foster Brooks, and that's where Brooks & Collier comes in. Big selection of outdoor furniture.
And a big selection of grills and smokers like Traeger, Big Green Egg, Blaze, even DCS, and more.
This is the good stuff.
And Paul, we definitely got the accessories. And remember, we deliver. Visit us at 813 Meridian Street and shop online at brooksandcollier.com.
When you needed your mom, she was always there with the Vicks Vapor Rub. She used that soothing scent to calm you. And her mom used it to calm her. And her mom, well, you get the idea. Vicks Vapor Rub's always been there. It always made you feel better. And today, it still does. Bring back those childhood memories with the comfort and care only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, family tradition for a reason.
Touchdown, Leonard Fournette. Witness tomorrow's NFL stars this December at the TransPerfect Music City Bowl.
Eli back to throw, avoids pressure, steps up, has a man wide open, Armstrong in the end zone, touchdown.
Don't miss a second as two of college football's most exciting programs from the SEC and Big Ten go head-to-head on Thursday, December 30th at 2 p.m. inside Nissan Stadium. For more information on this year's game, including ticket availability, visit MusicCityBowl.com to get your tickets today.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Football season is here.
45, nobody's gonna catch him. No shot, touchdown, 68 yards, no shot, Marino.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talkin' Ball with Scott and Drew.
Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, live from Bill Penney Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. And Drew, Alabama opens up as a 13.5-point favorite over Cincinnati. Georgia is a 7.5-point favorite over Michigan. Now, last year, Alabama opened up as a 19-point favorite against Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. That was the largest spread predictive of the college football playoffs in the history of the college football playoffs. In 2019, that was the previous mark. Alabama was a 14.5-point favorite over Oklahoma. Until last year, that was the highest point spread going into the college football playoffs. Now, if you're keeping track, the biggest upset so far in the college football playoffs was the year that Ohio State beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
2014.
Bama was a 7.5-point favorite over Ohio State that year. So Cincinnati is a 13.5-point favorite. Now, granted, this is not Alabama team from last year, and this is not the 2019 version of the Tide, but it does show you that Vegas has some respect for Cincinnati, that they only put it at a 13.5-point spread.
Well, Steve Moulton and I did our recap show in college football playoff pairing preview yesterday on 97.7 The Zone. He asked me, what did I think the spread was going to be? And I was in the ballpark. I said 14-17, I felt like. But still, you have to respect Cincinnati and Luke Fickell and what they've done. I had doubts about them beating Houston, which they did soundly, 35-20, and now
they kind of saved their best game for the conference championship game.
Because they knew what was at stake. They had struggled a little bit down the stretch, but they did beat SMU. Which there was some people doubting that one. They took out the Mustangs, and then they take out Houston. So they're 13-0. They've been very impressive. They won on the road at Notre Dame when they knew what was at stake there. Alabama will get their absolutely best shot because they get everybody's best shot. I still think Alabama's the better football team. I think they should win the game, but the Cincinnati Bearcats are really good. You heard Chris Landry talk about their backfield, the QB, very good player, dual threat capability. Tailback Jerome Ford had a huge game against Houston, and they like to run the ball. Luke Fickell, when it ultimately comes down to it, is a Big Ten guy. They're going to challenge Alabama's front. Alabama's been really good against the run, but they've got to be ready for this Bearcat attack and to stop the run. And even though I know there was guys opting out, it wasn't that they weren't motivated. They did move the ball against Georgia last year. They're a really good football team, so Alabama has to be ready to play.
All right, so that is your spreads there for the college football playoffs. The rest of the bowls were announced yesterday, and because Alabama and Georgia, which, by the way, Tim Brando is all upset over the fact that two SEC teams are back in the college football playoffs, basically saying that if Alabama and Georgia makes it to the college football national championship game, it'll be bad for the sport because having two schools in the finals of the college football playoff game or in the championship game is bad TV. It's bad for the sport because it just sets the college football game back. He is not a fan of that, but we'll talk about that as the week progresses. Before we go over the rest of the bowl games, let's get to Shane Sean on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Shane Sean.
Morning, guys. How are y'all?
Good morning. How did your crow taste? A lot of us are having to eat it this morning.
Dude, I tell you what an emotional roller coaster year of Alabama football this year.
Right.
I know it's going to sound like a cliche, but how the tide has turned.
Well, and again, they have to keep it up. There's no guarantees in this deal.
I'm still.
But yeah, it was a great night.
I still got a lot of, hesitation about us going to be able to beat Cincinnati. If the Alabama team that showed up against Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Georgia shows up, we'll run them out of the stadium. But if the Alabama team that showed up against Auburn, Texas A&M, it could be a long night.
Could be.
I love it. I don't care. I love it. I've always said, and I get a lot of flack from other fans, but I love good, close games. This has been a perfect year for me because I don't like blowouts, man. It gets boring watching Alabama blow teams out week in and week out. I like good college football, and it's been nothing but that this year. But Jeff from the Borough, you called in on Friday night, just basically stepping all over West and Drew. You're a moron. You are a moron. Now you're going to go get blowed out by a good defensive team in Iowa that their offense just ain't there, but Kentucky going to get beat.
Well, I can only hope.
Called in Friday night and said that Cincinnati, you had to have Cincinnati in just, I can't remember the exact word you used, just to get after Drew and West. Let me tell you something, buddy. Scott's Iowa Hawkeyes are going to rout y'all. Rout you.
I can only hope.
He calls in talking about the ACC is nothing but a hoops conference except for Clemson, blah, 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 blah. The SEC is a football conference except for Kentucky.
And they didn't play that very well last year.
Well,
No,
I mean, in some ways he's right. I mean, Kentucky is the blue blood basketball school, but there's others. Alabama's made a lot of strides. Florida's won a couple of national championships in the recent past. You've seen South Carolina has gotten to the Final Four, and they've fallen on hard times now. But there's been a lot of good basketball played in this league. Auburn's got a good program now. So Kentucky's still the standard, but they're far from being alone. Tennessee with Rick Barnes. I think there's a lot of good basketball teams in this league. I'm looking forward to the season. No doubt about that. And then it will be an interesting matchup with Kentucky and Iowa. I would probably favor Kentucky. I think they throw it a little bit better, but it's going to be a physical game. And a lot of these bowl games, too, the ones that aren't in the college football playoff, it's all about motivation. How motivated are you to be there? Iowa took a beating from Michigan. How motivated are they going to be?
And how many players are actually going to show up to play? Because how many are going to opt out between now and then? We don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just hope Alabama can get healthy in this big, long layover and stay motivated at the same time.
Yep.
Certainly that's going to be the big key.
I hope they remember what it's like with the underdog. And if they do that, this is national championship number 19.
Well, we'll certainly see, yeah.
And, I'm not counting my chickens for the hatch, by no means.
Right.
This team is so up and down all year. But I don't care. I don't care if they lose. If they lose to Cincinnati, I'm happy with this team. I am. It's the youngest team that Nick Saban ever did.
Right.
SEC champ, so I'm happy.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for the call, Shane Sean.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Drew, the other headline, though, that I didn't want to get to in college football, and we can go over the bowls in the headlines, but Brian Kelly wasting no time in filling out his staff. Not filling out his staff, I should say, but deciding who is not going to be there from the previous staff. Mm-hmm. And it's a shocker on this one because there will be a change. Tommy Moffitt, who had been there 19 years as the head strength coach for LSU, was the first one that Brian Kelly notified that he will not be returning next year. Tommy Moffitt had been there 19 years, 3 different head coaches, and of course Wes Neighbors, Connor Neighbors served under Tommy Moffitt, played under him as strength coach. So that's a pretty big shakeup there. Brian Kelly coming in and really starting from the top, bringing in his own guys.
Yeah, and a lot of that was speculated on that Tommy Moffitt may finally retire or move on from LSU, and he's certainly been a big part of that culture there. He started under Nick Saban, was there under Les Miles, as you said, and then Ed Ogeron retained him. Kevin Falk, the running backs coach, is thought to be being retained by Brian Kelly, and the cornerback and secondary coach, Corey Raymond, they're both really good recruiters, especially Raymond, that they will be retained by Brian Kelly. But Mickey Joseph, their wide receivers coach, outstanding recruiter, he's going to be with Scott Frost at Nebraska. So that's going to be interesting. No, not many coaches, if any, look like they're moving on with Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. So he's going to have to put together a completely new staff. And we'll see how he does that. His Southern accent needs work, though. I think we understand that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
I mean, come on. I mean, I guess that's one of those things. You just get caught up in the moment, and it just kind of comes out. And I guarantee you, he probably did go back and see that again. And that or whatever. But his daughter did put out a TikTok video, and she put out a video, and she was sitting in her room saying, when you have a year left at Notre Dame and your dad leaves to be the head coach at LSU. And she's sitting there by herself at Notre Dame. All right, let's get our final break in, because when we come back, tomorrow's headlines today will let you know where the SEC is going bowling.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food, from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat and 3 meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. And you can enjoy $50 worth of delicious Bubby's Diner food for half price with this week's Zone Deal. On sale now online at 977ESPN.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Sometimes the best things in life are right in front of you. When's the last time you took time to enjoy everything Montesano State Park has to offer? So close to home, just 5 miles from downtown Huntsville, Montesano State Park sits on over 2,000 acres with spectacular vistas from atop Montesano Mountain. And right now is a great time to visit and enjoy all the fall colors. In just a few months, spring will arrive with native azaleas in bloom along the 20 miles of hiking trails and 14 miles of biking trails. And no matter when you visit, you can enjoy time in one of 11 stone cabins with working fireplaces, built in 1930 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. These historic cabins all sit on a bluff line that offers beautiful views from their screened-in porches. Prefer a more primitive camping experience? Montesano State Park offers improved and primitive camping year-round. If you're ready to take some time to slow down and get away, log on alapark.com and make your reservation now. That's alapark.com. Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Looks like that wreck at Jordan and Bob Wallace is going to turn out to be a no injury. Old Madison Pike and Wynn was reported with an injury. Joe Quick and Sweetwater near Hazel Green also reported as an injury type. Still may be trying to get it clear. You get 3 pieces of the crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back to Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, wrapping up our number 1. Well, wrapping up our number 2, I should say. We've had so much fun this morning, wrapping up the whole entire show here with your tomorrow's headlines. And Drew, the rest of the SEC bowl schedule looks like this for the SEC. Because of Alabama and Georgia going to the college football playoffs, the next highest rated team gets a spot in the Sugar Bowl, which is the SEC Bowl, and that'll go to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. They will head and take on Baylor and Dave Aranda. That is a heck of a matchup right there if everybody decides to stay in, not opt out, and go to that game. That is Ole Miss and Baylor. That could be a fantastic Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, you'd think Matt Corral would play in the game just simply because I know he's mentioned and even released on social media that he could be moving on, but he's a Heisman candidate. And then it's a big deal because Ole Miss won 10 games in the regular season, and it's only the second time in really the modern era that they've gone to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they did beat Oklahoma State in the Sugar Bowl a few years ago under Hugh Freeze. But as you said, now they're playing another Big 12 squad, Dave Aranda and Baylor, who basically did the College Football Playoff Committee a favor, knocking out Oklahoma State, and then they had no decision to make when it came to Oklahoma State and Cincinnati.
Man, how would that have played out, you think?
I still think Cincinnati, in my opinion, but it would have been much more difficult. But once Oklahoma State had two, it's what I told you going into the weekend, that I thought Cincinnati – controlled their own destiny to a degree, but they needed a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And they got it when
with
the
Baylor.
goal line stand and how you can not score on like 3 or 4 plays from the one. And
you want to, there you go. You want it there.
Fire somebody.
All right. LSU is going to take on Kansas State in the Texas Bowl. Kentucky will take on Iowa, as we mentioned, in the Citrus Bowl. Arkansas will take on Penn State in the Outback Bowl.
That's another interesting one, and I hope Arkansas mudholes Penn State. Not a big James Franklin guy, and I hope Sam Pittman and the Hogs take them behind the shed.
And then the rest, Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. How many guys will actually play for the Aggies in this one as they take on Wake Forest in the Tax Slayer Bowl?
In the Mediocrity Bowl. That's what they ought to
Disappointment Bowl
or whatever. I mean, well, not for Wake Forest. I mean,
not for Wake Forest, but for Texas A&M.
A conference title, and they're not even used to being in a bowl game. But look, Texas A&M beat Alabama. They showed how talented they are.
Right.
They beat the Crimson Tide, and they end up playing Wake Forest in the Tax Slayer Bowl because they can't handle success. That's why I called it the Mediocrity Bowl.
Tennessee at 7-5 will take on Purdue in the Music City Bowl, so hopefully the Vols fans will show up to that one in Nashville.
I think that's the situations with the Birmingham Bowl and the Music City. They're trying to sell tickets, so they're trying to get the Auburn fans to come to Birmingham and play in that new and watching that new stadium, protective stadium, great venue. Buy those tickets, come on, and then they're doing the same thing with Tennessee. Short commute to Nashville. Come on over to Nashville. Play in a Nissan Stadium, and and take on Purdue. And Purdue is very capable.
Yes.
We've seen this. They knocked off, Michigan State.
They had a good run there where they knocked off 2 top 5 teams in back-to-back. Iowa at number 2, and then they knocked off Michigan State the following week. Then you got the Battle of Carolinas in the Duke Mayo Bowl. North Carolina, South Carolina, 6-6, 6-6. Talk about a disappointment. Mac Brown's team was projected to be in the ACC championship game, possible playoff contenders.
And that's but for Shane Beamer, that is a
Yes.
good thing. That is not a disappointment for their squad because, as you know, Scott, we were in Hoover. It seems like 2 weeks ago, but it's now the end of the season, and South Carolina was thought to be a 3 or 4 win team. So to get to 6 wins in a bowl game is a major accomplishment.
Mississippi State will take on Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. Now, Mississippi State did get notice that cowbells will be allowed in this game, so Mike Leach was happy about that. He did say, though, because now this is Mike Leach against his former team. A lot has changed since Mike Leach was at Texas Tech, but a lot has changed in this matchup. It won't be the same Texas Tech kids that he was there, really. I mean, everything is different. It's Mike Leach, though, going up against his former school, Texas Tech. The rest of the SEC, Drew, you mentioned it, Auburn, Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. That is, Houston and
in Auburn.
Yeah, the Houston coach was at West Virginia.
Dana Holgorsen.
Dana Holgorsen, against Brian Harsin.
Yeah.
Now, the question for Auburn is, will Bo Nix be under center for quarterback for this game? He hasn't. I don't know if there's a deadline. I don't know if he is. Who knows what is going on there?
Well, we don't even know how long it's going to take him to heal, really.
Right.
I mean,
so
it's possible he could be back.
But will Bo Nix even be an Auburn Tiger when they play this game? Because there's some speculation that he is weighing his options, whether to return to Auburn or go into the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the SEC, Florida is going to take on Gus Malzahn
in the Gasparilla Bowl
in
Tampa, Florida.
Florida does not have a head coach. Well, they do have a head coach in Billy Napier, but he is not going to coach the bowl game.
Yeah, correct.
But Gus Malzahn taking on the Florida Gators.
Well, UCF's been wanting a shot at Florida. They were trying to work out a deal to play. Now they're going to play in this bowl game. Now, Gus has been on the other side of this before when you had a non-motivated team that just didn't really want to be there and got taken out by an undefeated UCF team. Now we'll see.
Who won a national championship that year, by the way.
Anyway. But now you're going to see how motivated UCF is against the Gators. And the Gators, they're trying to, I guess, sweep the state almost.
Right.
Because they beat Florida State. They didn't take on Miami, but they did beat early in the year South Florida. So now you're trying to take out UCF, and this is another situation. You're trying to sell tickets. You're trying to get
true.
It's a geographically close.
Orlando to Tampa.
And certainly,
is not
I
far.
think UCF fans will turn out because they'd love to beat Florida. It'll be interesting to see how many tickets the Gators can sell. Because this has just been an underwhelming year for them.
Yeah, beat that name on the jersey.
Yep.
The other one, Missouri at 6-6. I'm going to say a disappointing year for Missouri.
Definitely.
With everything that they returned, especially at quarterback. I think many people thought Missouri could finish in the upper half of the East, and especially with the East. With the East being the way it was, they had every opportunity to do so. They're going to take on 8-3 Army in the Armed Forces Bowl.
That's a bad matchup for Missouri. They can't stop the run, man. Even though the one thing I have heard, though, is will Jeff Monken, will that be his last game at Army? Because there's rumors that he is going to be the Duke coach. Because he's definitely – remember, he was in some mix for Kansas and some other jobs last year, Scott. The Duke Blue Devils, will they – Steve Spurrier Jr. is a wide receivers coach for Mississippi State.
Right.
He's been rumored for that job. That makes sense. Steve Spurrier
his dad
coached
was there, yes.
But is Duke willing to try something different? Are they willing to do what Georgia Tech did for about a decade under Paul Johnson? Are they going to try to bring option football back to the ACC? Possibly. I was hearing this weekend that Monken may be the front runner for the Duke job.
That's an interesting fit. Option football.
They would have to completely change what they're doing. I'm talking about the way they've been recruiting under David Cutcliffe. it would be a complete culture change. It would be very interesting if the Blue Devils go to option football.
All right, good news for another in-state program. The UAB Blazers are going bowling. They will take on BYU in the Independence Bowl.
Yeah, that's going to be a good test for Bill Clark against a quality program, and BYU would be a huge win for UAB if they could get yet another bowl victory. He's done a remarkable job. Looks like he's going to stay there unless something. I don't see him in the mix for the Duke job. We'll see what happens with Virginia. Virginia is certainly looking for a head football coach, but Bill Clark done a remarkable job at UAB. And I want to also give a shout-out once again to John Summerall, new head football coach of the Troy Trojans. Exchanged some text with him this weekend. He will be joining Talkin Ball at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. And so we're going to talk to the former Grissom Tiger star, Kentucky standout, and, of course, an assistant coach at Kentucky right now, the Co-DC inside linebackers coach, but the new head football coach of the Troy Trojans.
All right, guys, that is 2 hours. Hey, Brett Drinkard, you wanted to know the criteria for the Heisman. We were asked by the chair of the Heisman Committee back in the day to be a part of it. It is an honor. You have to basically be a member of the media and cover college football at great extents to be a member of it. And it's an honor and a privilege. But join us Thursday from 7 to 8. Steve Moulton, myself, and Rocco DeSangrio from WHNT. He's a Heisman voter. We will talk Heisman 7 to 8 on Wednesday.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama